What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing an ultra mega haul. Right now. So, this past month was insane. We had a really big month the month before too, but this one I think even outdid that last month. So there are items in here that I bought myself. There are items in here that were gifted to us. A lot of them were gifted to us. Big shout out to Resolution 67. Much love, man. Thank you very, very much. But yeah, we got a lot to cover. I'm going to try to go through it as quick as I possibly can. This will give you plenty of great ideas to watch for movies and what I might be reviewing in the future. I'm still going through the pile of stuff that I did last week. I'm trying to mix it up by doing some new stuff here, guys, because I like a myriad of things. So I'm going to cover some other stuff too, just to add to the pile of horror that we're going to continue to do. So without further ado, let's get on with it. We got the entire set of Tales from the Crypt, the complete series, which I actually just dropped in price on the DVDs for this. Like, it actually was getting kind of rare there for a little bit, and it was like high in price, but they just reprinted some. So if you've been waiting to get them and you haven't thought about getting it, they're out. And I think it's like pretty cheap. I'll put links to everything that I got in the Amazon store down below so that you can pick up a copy for yourself. There'll be a long list and it'll have like every link to it. So, but yeah, Tales from the Crypt is probably one of the best TV shows that ever aired for horror, in my opinion. Like, it really just had so many different wonderful gems of horror. I love all of them though. You know, I like Twilight Zone. Doesn't matter what decade it is, whether it's 90s, 80s, 2000s. The original. We just recently got Night Gallery. I like Outer Limits. I like Monsters. I like Friday the 13th series, which we also got. This is something that's going to be really fun to go through as well. One of my favorites. And thank you, Resolution. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these, but it is nice to have this in the collection finally. So maybe doing it on the podcast or maybe on the YouTube. You guys let me know.
Tales from the Crypt.
Up next, we got They Live 4K, which this is the Steelbook, actually. Got the J card here on it, but yeah, look at this puppy. Obviously a John Carpenter classic. Some people say this isn't a horror film, but you know, it is technically. It's just a little bit more on the action side, sci-fi action side. But there is some stuff in here that would be a little scary for some kids. I think some of the alien faces are pretty freaky, and I think we all will remember them for that. But yeah, this has both the 4K and the Blu-ray in here, which has the big old Obey in there, which I thought was cool. Yeah, Resolution got this one for me. I didn't even have it on 4K. I think I might have had a DVD of this. I'm looking forward to checking this one out again because I do like this film quite a bit. But yeah, John Carpenter, They Live. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Up next, we got The Shining, which is a love story about... No, I'm kidding. It's obviously the Stanley Kubrick movie that, he wasn't really fond of Stephen King's for some reason. I don't know why. He wanted to change the story and do it his own way, but in either case, a lot of people love it. I love it. Some people don't like it at all. Some people just like the original story. I think it's one of the most accessible horror films, and apparently this 4K in general is one of the best looking 4Ks out there. So I am super excited to rewatch this. I'm probably going to watch Dr. Sleep in 4K again because I never did get to rewatch it. And we have the like super unrated uncut version, so definitely happy to have this. Thanks. So for all of these that I don't say I bought myself, they are gifts. So please, if you guys support this channel, please thank Resolution as well in the comment section down below. I'm sure he wouldn't want it, but I'm going to thank him anyway because it fucking has meant the world to us in this house and brought some like life back into what we're doing here. So if you enjoy what I do, definitely give him a shout out. Sorry, Resolution, just had to. Up next, we got Day of the Dead. Believe it or not, I've not had this. I've actually had it on DVD for a while, but I wanted to get it on the Blu-ray, and eventually I'm sure it'll come to 4K. Not my favorite of the three, the first three, but, you know, it is definitely a good film, and every time I watch it, there's a little bit more that I like about it. I'm glad to add it to the collection finally. I don't know why. Sometimes some of these bigger movies I just wait on, and I always get like the most obscure shit. Do you guys do that in your collections? That like you buy the most obscure shit first, and then you're like, well, that other one will be around, you know? I did that with Dawn of the Dead, and when it finally came out on 4K, I bought the like Mega Ultra edition from Second Sight because I was like, I waited 10 years just to see that in a good quality copy. So thanks. We'll be reviewing all of these too, so don't forget. On the channel, so whether it's here or on the podcast, by the way. Up next, we got the Prophecy Collection. It's the 5-film set. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of this franchise, and I don't remember the first movie, let alone many of the others, but I do remember enjoying them at a time back in the 90s, I believe, when these first came out. They just got a 4K release, the first three on Vinegar Syndrome, but I wasn't really like, I wanted to get it, but, you know, is it something I necessarily needed? You know, maybe after I watch this, I'll be like, yes, I need to get it in 4K. But in either case, I have the whole franchise now, and I don't remember the last two at all, let alone the first, the third. So do you guys remember this? Are you a big fan of this franchise? Should I put this higher on my list? Let me know.
I can lay you out and fill your mouth with your mother's feces. Or we can talk.
Up next, we got, bam, Event Horizon. Hell yeah. Now, some people say this is a cheesy movie, and it is, but it's still really cool, and they do a lot of really wonderful things in this movie. It's more of one of those hopeful movies that you watch that you're like, I really like this. I could have absolutely been blown away by it if it went a little bit further, but I still like what I got, and I like to rewatch this again kind of movies. This is the 4K version of it. Are you guys a fan of this movie, or is it too cheesy? I mean, there is such thing as good cheesy movies. Up next, we got some comedies that are the Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Finally, I got these all three in 4K. I've been wanting this set for a long time, and we haven't watched Shaun of the Dead in a while, and Christina and I thought maybe we might do this on the podcast, do all three movies or something like that. Maybe I'll just do each one on here and do a review of each. Obviously, Shaun of the Dead is amazing. I've never seen it in 4K, nor Hot Fuzz or The World's End. I think I liked World's End a little bit more than Hot Fuzz, if I recall, but they're all a little fun, you know, and I can't wait to rewatch some of these again. So also, this comes with the Blu-rays and the 4Ks for each. Up next, one of my favorite films, Lost Highway. Now, I saw this in the theater with my friends in Florida, and they were the one that convinced me to go. I had never even, I mean, I knew who David Lynch was because I think we all saw The Elephant Man when we were kids in school for some reason, or at least on TV or something like that. But they were big fans of David Lynch, and they were like, you got to go see it. He's the one that did this movie. So we watched Wild at Heart, and then we went to go see this, and they walked out of the theater when I saw it, but I was so glued to the TV, or the theater, the theater, yeah, TV, same thing, I guess. I was so glued that they were like, we're going to leave. And I was like, oh, well, I want to watch it. And they were like, it's okay, we'll come back and get you. And so they did, and I loved this movie. It's essentially sort of a metaphor for evil, good versus evil in all of us. You know, David Lynch is a little bit of an enigma sometimes when it comes to some of the meanings that he does. I had a friend who absolutely hated him and said that everything that he did was a lie and a trick. No, I just think he's just a weird guy. He said that he's just weird for weird's sake, but I don't know. This is the Criterion release, though, of Lost Highway in 4K, and man, am I excited to watch this in 4K. It made me more of a fan of movies in general, but yeah, some people don't like it, and I get it, but I like it.
How'd you get inside my house?
You invited me. It is not my custom to go where I'm not wanted.
Who are you?
Give me back my phone.
Trippy, weird, crazy segments in the middle of that movie, by the way. That's why I like it so much. It's like little treats all along the way. Up next, Brain Scan. Wanna play? I dare you. Long after we got Lawnmower Man, which was like, you know, revolutionary for fucking kids. Like that blew my mind is watching that. And they did some VR technology in there. Well, this movie kind of like picked up where that left off and does like a futuristic version of VR where Edward Norton from Terminator 2 gets some sort of like video game demon that like makes him play this game with like killing people, and then suddenly people start dying around him in the real world and he's not sure if it's him or what's going on. But this one was really fucking cool. I really like this one. It's just been a while, and yeah, this one took a long time to come to Blu-ray, by the way, but I never got an opportunity to pick it up, and Scream Factory put it out, I think. Yeah. I wonder if they'll give it a 4K in the future. Probably. They'll give everything a 4K, probably. But yeah. Have you seen this? Are you a fan? Up next, one of Christina's favorite things in the world, Batman. And this is, of course, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, which I lean towards when it comes to those. I do like the 90s ones, but they're silly fun. But this one always just kind of like was a little bit different. And, you know, it may not be horror, but I definitely wouldn't mind covering this on the channel, or at least doing like a episode for Christina. She'd probably want to do it for like her birthday or something like that, or just like a one-off that we do. I heard this set is fantastic in 4K. It's literally one of the best 4Ks that you can get out there. It's on like everybody's list for the top ones, like this, Shining, and a couple others that I have. So I'm really glad to have this, and we're probably going to sit down and watch this soon. So maybe I'll have Christina on for a YouTube video talking about it so she can kind of gush over it, you know. But yeah, are you guys a fan of this one, or do you like the newest one, or do you like the old ones? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Speaking of Lawnmower Man, hey, what do you know? Another Scream Factory release, by the way. This is the Blu-ray special collector's edition of Lawnmower Man, which I still like to this day. I saw it in the theater. I remember seeing it in the theater, and I think I might have seen it twice in the theater. It's super cheesy, but there was something about it that was just mind expanding to me as a child that made me wonder about virtual reality and like slipping into another dimension, you know, because as everything is, you know, to a child, it's like amazing. Just like computers were to people in the 70s and 80s, where computers could do literally anything, like summon a demon or create a woman. Just endless possibilities. Yeah, I really like this one. It's obviously based on the Stephen King short. I haven't seen it in a while, and I think it was one of the first episodes we did on the podcast. Might be fun to do here on the YouTube to talk about and see what I think about it, see if it still holds up to it. Do you still like the movie? Let me know.
Please.
Lawnmower Man's in your head now, Jake.
Up next, The Hidden, which this is actually a pretty fun, underrated sort of buddy cop comedy that is dealing with an alien and a cop. So kind of like Alien Nation, only a little different. There's a madman running around that's just like going wild in the streets of Los Angeles. Kyle MacLachlan, who obviously was in Twin Peaks, speaking of David Lynch, he is the alien sort of guy in this, and he teams up with this other cop to catch this other alien. And it's got some pretty cool effects in it, actually, and we really liked it. We watched it on the podcast not too long ago, so I might hold this one till later, but I'm glad I own it, because I definitely wanted to pick it up after reviewing it, because I thought it was really fun. Up next, Rubber, which I really like this movie, by the way. A lot of people are not a big fan of this movie. And I don't know why, because I think it's just really ingenious what they do with this tire. This is a movie by Quentin Dupieux. He did Wrong Cops, or Wrong, and then he did Wrong Cops, and then he did this one about like a giant fly, and then he just did another one, Thank You for Not Smoking. Super Sentai guys that smoke. They're like on a tobacco force or something like that, and they're like fighting like large giant Super Sentai monsters and stuff like that. It's wild, dude. This guy's a weirdo French guy that does a lot of really weird movies, but I really like this movie. I thought it was really fun. They kind of break the fourth wall in this movie. And if you like to take extracurricular activities of the super psychedelic variety, well, then this might be a great movie to watch that'll trip you the fuck out. But it's like a slasher with a tire. Yeah, like a literal fucking empty tire just goes rolling around and killing people. And they have to figure out what's going on and who's doing it. And it's more than that, though. Like, there's just a lot of really weird things going on in this movie that make no sense. And they even talk about it in the very beginning of the movie. Like, why did E.T. like Reese's Pieces? No reason. It's wild. Up next, boom, the Wishmaster collection, which I've been wanting to get this for a long while as well. I think we watched this on the podcast, many, many years ago, like 5 years ago. We never did this on the podcast. I think we might have watched like the first and second one, but we never watched the complete collection. And this has all the way up to we have Wishmaster 1, 2, 3, and The Prophecy Fulfilled, which was a different actor who was in the suit. Obviously, this is a story about a genie, an evil genie who goes around giving people wishes that are bad wishes, and they turn into, be careful what you wish for situations, kind of like the monkey's paw, but like a slasher in a way. This reminds me very closely to another franchise known as Warlock. If you've ever seen Warlock 2, these movies are very similar in tone to those. A lot of practical effects, a lot of crazy early CGI, but a lot of really funny kills and deaths and stuff in these, and I actually really like it. So I'm looking forward to watching these. Maybe I'll do a review of each and then a video about which of these is my, what order they go in. But check this out if you haven't already. It's pretty cool. Speaking of Warlock, geez, wow, look at this. We got the Warlock collection as well from Vestron here, which the other one was Vestron 2. I feel like I'm going to have to complete my entire Vestron collection here. But yeah, this has Warlock 1, 2, and 3, which I gotta say, although the guy who filled in for Julian Sands isn't terrible, it's just the script that was in the third one that I didn't like. But I'm super glad to have this. I actually love both the first and the second one. They're both kind of different vibes. Some people really didn't like the second one, but I thought it has like a really fun vibe about it because there's like all these like crystals and stuff, and they're almost like Jedi warriors, like magic warriors in it. That I really like. The third one is involved in a castle, and it's terrible in my opinion. But some people like it. I'm just not a huge fan. But, I'm a collector. Thank you for this. We're on the second stack now, by the way, guys. That was the first one. So, buckle up. All right. RoboCop, the series? Yeah, they made an entire series, guys. And I've actually watched some of these already. I've been kind of watching some stuff in the background when I'm not doing reviews. And, of course, this is the entire season. There was only one season, but they did the entire thing on TV. And I think it was like either a Canadian thing or not. But, man, is it super cheesy. It is like a Wish version of RoboCop. But there's something really funny about it because it's like still trying to follow a lot of the same tropes as the regular RoboCop. It is not a shadow of it. But to have this, is really awesome. And I would love to do like a solid breakdown of this entire franchise and kind of like give people an idea what it is because they may have never heard of it. So RoboCop, the series. Have you heard of it?
Hands above your head. You are under arrest.
Oh, you're too late for that, robot.
Up next. This one's Blues Brothers. This is one I picked up for myself. Big fan of this movie when I was a kid. I used to sing all the songs in this because it's, kind of a musical with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, who play these two suave, smelly blues brothers who go around trying to get their band back together and getting into a lot of trouble with the law, doing a lot of funny things. And there's just a lot of really zany things in it, but there's a lot of really amazing talent in this film. You may not even be a blues fan, but when I was a kid, this was a phenomenal movie. Saturday Night Live was like one of the best things when I was a kid. A lot of my favorite heroes and movies and TV and stuff like that all come from like Saturday Night Live. Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Eddie Murphy, like these were legends in my eyes. You know what I mean? Even Dan Aykroyd was like, I wanted to be Dan Aykroyd in this fucking movie. You know what I mean? Everybody did when we were kids, I guess. But yeah, this is a really funny, kooky kind of movie. There's a lot of really talented blues musicians in it, and you will never see again. Nobody could ever recreate this. They tried to do a sequel for it. It was terrible. Nowhere near as good as this. All right, up next, we got Ghost in the Shell, which I actually got a cheap copy of this on digital, but then I was like, you know what? It looks so good. I want to see what it looks like on the player, because I got a new 4K player, a Blu-ray player, and 4K disc UHD player, and my God, everything looks so amazing on it. It's amazing. Like it's a game changer. It up-reses all the DVDs and Blu-rays, and then the 4Ks look better than I've ever seen them. So, but I got this. I never actually finished watching this movie, and I really want to watch it again. I think there's another movie out that's like this, but I don't know too much about it other than the live action that I saw, which kind of, they do some of the same scenes in this, but it's an anime. And I'm really trying to like open up to some of these things for you guys. So I'll probably be reviewing this on the channel. Shout out if you're a fan. But yeah, I picked that one up. Up next, we got Survival of the Dead, another George Romero film that was one of the last ones that he did that was, I believe, a Scottish island or somewhere in another country. I just remember that. It's been a while since I've seen this. This was done in a film way, not like a found footage way, because they did do that one. It was called Diary of the Dead. I think that was what it was. I wasn't a fan of that one, but this one, I remember saying, okay, well, this one isn't as bad, but I haven't seen it in a long time. And, I want to kind of go through those and do my top best of the Dawn series and see what I think, the official ones, of course. Are you a fan of this, or is it just okay? Like, where would you place it? Up next, we got Zombies, which I bought this for like, I think $5 on here on the Amazon. This is MVD actually carries this because it's an MVD visual. You could pick it up for there for $5 as well too. So shout out MVD who supports this channel heavily. Love ya. This is a really funny movie. It's a super indie film about a bunch of like younger guys that work at a bowling alley who somehow get some sort of like contagion in the ice cream. Everything in this movie is in black and white, except for certain colors. And then when they eat the ice cream, it changes them into zombies, but they don't know it. So they're acting really funny. What other people see is in color, and what they see is in black and white. So it's or one of the ways, I can't remember, but this was a really fucking great movie. It gets a little tired by the end of the movie, but I still think it's worth a watch. And if you don't own it, I would highly recommend it. I feel like this movie deserves a lot more credit than it gets. Some people know it, some people love it. I'm a big fan of it. I love when indies go that extra mile and do something really unique with the zombie genre, and this is one of them. So if you like really silly, dumb comedies that do something different with the genre, check this one out. Up next, we got Graveyard Shift, which this is another Stephen King film. I remember there was a time when I didn't like Stephen King movies as much. Like there was always something about them that was good, but not good. A lot of that's changed with me. My tastes have changed quite a bit over the years. I'm not as picky. I heard a police car. I was like, what the fuck is that? They're coming to get me because I hated it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of every one of the movies. And now I've kind of gotten to an age where I kind of appreciate where some of these movies tried to go and what they did. And this is actually one of the good ones. This is a one where they go into a mine. I believe there's a creature in there. I won't say what it is because, I'm really glad I have this. I'm trying to get like all the Stephen King movies, just like I'm trying to get all the Lucio Fulci films. But are you a fan of this one, or is this kind of weak in your opinion? Let me know. Up next, we got The Fog in 4K. So yeah, not my favorite John Carpenter film, but this one has steadily kind of crept up on me, and there's some of the iconography in this movie that is just amazing looking. Like some of the shots that they did in this film I really genuinely like, and I think it deserves a rewatch because it's one of those films that grows on me as time goes. I wasn't a fan of Prince of Darkness for a little while there too when I was growing up, because it wasn't as like The Thing as I wanted it to, or Halloween. But there's something about some of his films that aren't the biggest bangers that they kind of creep up on you, and you start to kind of pay attention to them a little bit more. And this is one of them. Did you always like it, or do you not like it at all? Having this in 4K, I can't wait to watch. Up next, and holy shit, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm probably going to do this on the channel because I feel like it's like, I've seen a couple other people do it, and I've been wanting to do it since I saw Tosh.0 do this movie. It was on one of his episodes of like spoilers or something like that, where he like tells the whole thing, and like they had to cut it short, but you could watch on his like website the entire breakdown of this movie because it was one of those so bad it's good. Like, I can't believe they made these kind of films. And that is Tiptoes. So, interesting story on this. This has Gary Oldman, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette, Matthew McConaughey, Peter Dinklage. Just a ton of fucking people are in this movie that you would never expect. But this is a movie that was like some, I don't know the full story on it, but I'll figure it out and let you guys know. But this rich guy paid these people a lot of money to make a movie that he wanted to make, and it is essentially about Matthew McConaughey, who finds a girlfriend he's in love with. He has a brother that is a little person in his family, and his mom and dad are little people as well. He meets this new girl. They are trying to have a baby. His whole family are little people when she finally gets pregnant. His brother, Gary Oldman, shows up and tells her. And then so like there's this whole back and forth of whether or not the child's going to be a little person, and the reactions and the movie in general is so fucking distasteful. It is insane. They have scenes in which Gary Oldman, who is playing a little person, not a real little person playing a little person, but Gary Oldman playing a little person on his knees. And there's scenes where you can see him physically on his knees under tables and things like that. They have a scene where his legs are tucked in the couch and they got these fake legs that look ridiculous. Some of the reactions and dialogue in this movie are insane, and I've been wanting to watch this movie for a very long time to see what it is. I don't know how people feel about this movie really, because not many people know what it is, but man, I had to pick up a copy of this before it disappeared, and I found one online for like $2 with free shipping. And I was like, got it. So I bought it, and it was brand new. Had never been opened either. So, I don't know. Have you ever heard of this Tiptoes movie? It is ridiculous.
How could you two be so calm?
Please, Stephen, you're going to frighten the baby.
Look what I need. I need chromosomes.
Up next, we got Doomed Megapolis Mega Omnibus Edition, which this actually has. This is the 30th anniversary edition. It is an anime of the Doomed Megapolis series. It's like a 4-chapter saga. It's like a remaster of it, but it's basically about an evil sorcerer bent on crushing the greatest city on earth, uses dark powers to awaken destructive spirit of Tokyo's historic guardian to save the city. A team of occultists, scientists, and children become embroiled in a multi-decade supernatural struggle to oppose
the forces of darkness.
You can kind of see some of the artwork on the back here. This is some wild stuff. There's some pretty crazy iconography in here. But this is very dark. A lot of the golden era stuff of Japan when they did anime and stuff like that. There was a time where like Japan was like booming and they were like really taking risks on a lot of projects. And this is kind of tucked in that time frame. In fact, most of the stuff that I get is mostly adult. They have a live action version of this as well. I think there's 2 movies, but I have one of them that one of my viewers, Plemke, got for it. And so now I have the anime to go with it. Can't wait to talk about this. Speaking of more anime, we have Demon City Shinjuku. It's from the director of Wicked City, which was another anime that was really, really super popular about dimensions and cops and demons living in our world. And there was like a group of people that were like the Men in Black that kill the bad ones, and like the demons team up, and there's like a faction together where they fight bad people and bad demons to keep them out of the world. This is the same guy who did that and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. So this one is super crazy. I'll read you what the thing is. 10 years ago, Genshiro Izoi died trying to stop the sorcerer Reba Ra, and as a result, Shinjuku became a playground for demons. And now the day approaches when Rabbi Ra will complete his decade-long ritual to plunge the rest of the world into chaos. As Genshiro's son, it fails to Kyoya to venture into the heart of Shinjuku and put an end to the sorcerer his father couldn't beat. Can Kyoya exceed his father's legacy, or will the demons of Shinjuku create hell on earth? Now, this is a super violent movie. A lot of these are very violent films, so they include a lot of suggestive, situations in there as well. And, it gets pretty wild, but I don't know what's in this one because I've never actually seen it. I've just been wanting to watch it for a very long time, and now I got the Blu-ray of it, so hell yeah. Up next, we got Visitors from Arcana Galaxy. Now, this is a Lost film that it was from 1981, and it is a film that is about, I don't really understand it. I'll try to read it to you, but it's a director, Dusan Vakotic. Imagine if Troma Films had been hired to make a Sid and Marty Krofft Saturday morning kids show, and you have some idea of the unspeakable strangeness of Visitors from the Arcana Galaxy. A truly gonzo Croatian sci-fi fantasy about a struggling writer, Robert, who dreams up a story of gold-skinned alien androids named Andra, Targo, and Ulu from a distant planet, and his alien creations become real, and they come visiting him, and monsters and crazy, stuff come to life. They kind of look like the H.R. Geiger robot-looking women, if you've seen those. But yeah, it's a really bizarre film. It's a sister boutique from Vinegar Syndrome called Deaf Crocodile. They have a couple releases, but they distribute through Vinegar Syndrome. But yeah, I picked this one up because I wanted to get it because it just seemed so extremely weird. There's a scene in it where a guy's head gets pulled off and it looks ridiculous. I want to check it out because I like So Bad It's Good stuff and I want to see what it's like. Have you heard of it? I would love to know. Up next, we got Scrooged in 4K, baby. One of my favorite holiday, sort of horror, comedies. Yeah, this is one that always tears me up at the end for some reason. But, yeah, you can make fun of me all you want. But I'm probably going to be reviewing this for this year on the channel just to talk about it because I'm a big Bill Murray fan. If you're a fan of him as well, shout out. Who isn't, I guess, if you grew up with him? This was one of my favorite films that he did, and this one grows on me every year I watch it. It's become a regular. It's like Christmas Evil, this one, the Christmas Vacation. Those three pretty much I watch every year for the holidays, and sometimes the Rankin Bass stuff. But yeah, I'm super stoked about this. Now I just need to get the Groundhog Day one in 4K, which is another Bill Murray movie that I love. So up next, we got a big one here. Genocyber. Now, this is a standard definition, but they have all of the episodes on a Blu-ray. So it's basically like DVD quality on a Blu-ray disc. But this is one of those extremely violent thing-related animes that you might want to check out that I have not seen and I'm looking forward to checking out. But it's essentially about combination of cybergenetics and psychic potential. And this is the 5 OVA episodes of all of the anime. But it says, as nations of the world begin to merge their armies into one international force, world peace is now being threatened by the private armies of individual corporations. The Japanese Kuru group may have discovered the one weapon which would tip world power in their favor. At the center of the covert industrial espionage are two sisters, one whose body is mostly machine, and the other who has the mind of a wild animal and possesses unbelievable psychic powers. If these two could be combined into one, a weapon beyond anything ever conceived would be created. Genocyber. A cybergenetic monster strengthened with pure psychic energy. And if you like Akira and stuff like that and seeing people being shredded to pieces, this is one of those movies that is one of the most disturbing out there. It's very adult, not for kids. I wouldn't let you down, guys. Trust me. But yeah, this is one that I want to check out and talk on the thing. Let me know which one of these animes you think I should do first, because I'm going to do them on the YouTube here. Christine is not fond of animation, and I want to expose you guys to it. Up next, and you know I love talking about this one, probably my favorite movie of David Cronenberg's, Videdrum. Finally got the 4K release on Criterion, and you know, I really appreciate getting a copy of this because I think Criterion does a little bit better sometimes than Arrow, but Arrow provided a like booklet and some other stuff that go with their version of it. But I'll let you know the difference between the two on here. It looks almost identical to the Blu-ray one. So if you ever had the Blu-ray one of this with the tape and everything, it's almost identical, only it comes with a 4K UHD copy in it. So they didn't really change anything with this one. They just kind of printed it and threw it out, but I know it's a new transfer. So I wanted to see how it stacked up against the other one, and I am an ultra fan of this movie. It is essentially about a TV programmer back in the 80s who has a channel that does like late night crazy stuff, or like that you can watch in Canada, that is dealing with sort of semi-prawn, you know, like pornographic kind of stuff in it. And he also does violence and stuff like on the show, and he says he does it just to try to get more viewers because that's what sells, and they're a small company, supply and demand. Finding more and more of this like really messed up stuff because everything is too tame, and they track down a satellite feed of some really heinous stuff that he can't keep his eyes off of. But there's a message that is hidden in the viewing of that, and it starts to change his mind and his reality. And this is some of the most expert body horror, psychological, psychedelic shit I think I've ever seen. There is some of the greatest practical effects in movies out there to date. This is literally one of my top 10 movies of all time. And it's not for everybody. It's very vibey, very slow, but it makes you feel like you're on something. Are you a fan? If not, sorry. We're almost done, guys. We're coming to the bottom here. So if you are still here, I fucking love you. Next up, we got Closet Space, which is a movie that Resolution 67 told me to check out. It's an extreme shoe budget indie. This is not going to be for people that can't tolerate the lowest of low budget films. Like, I popped it in to start watching it. I fell asleep a little bit early because not because of the movie or anything, but just because I have this sleeping thing going on. It's kind of like the movie, or like a live version of the movie House of Leaves, which is about a group of people who are researching a closet that leads to another like open space in this house that there should not be an open space behind it. It's almost like a parallel dimension doorway. And this is a very similar kind of concept with it on like an extreme budget. So he had suggested to check this out. I picked it up just in case because he said it was really pretty decent for a shoe budget indie. And since I watch a lot of shot on video stuff, I'm sure he was pretty sure that I would be okay with this one. Obviously, this isn't going to be for everybody because a lot of those movies really, people need a higher quality. So no offense to any of you that don't like those kind of films. It's just something that you acquire over a long period of time. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out and actually really watch it. I was going to bump it up on my list, but up next, we got the collector's edition from Scream Factory. It's In the Mouth of Madness with Sam Neill, John Carpenter, of course, because this movie is fantastic. One of my favorite films of John Carpenter's. I mean, it's pretty close. Like, I know a lot of people love Halloween, and I like it too, but this one is a little bit more my speed because it's more of a Lovecraftian movie. In fact, this isn't exactly Lovecraft, but it's probably one of the closest interpretations of Lovecraft film to date in the modern era. Most people do not get Lovecraft right, but John Carpenter did it right. And again, it's not like borrowed stories of Lovecraft. It's his own version of what Lovecraft is on his own. It's essentially about this guy who goes to investigate a guy who's committing some sort of insurance fraud, and he gets ensnarled into a insane world of creatures and distorted people, and it is meta as fuck. If you've never seen this, highly recommend it. If you like the creatures in The Thing, you have to watch this. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. This is a fantastic movie that came out in the 90s that I missed in the theaters, and I really wish that I hadn't. I was an instant fan when I watched this.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
What?
Up next, we got Wrong Door, which I did a review of. This is a Visual Vengeance copy that was sent out to me by MVD. I have an entire review of it, but the short end of it is it's a very shoestring budget movie that was trying to be like Brian De Palma. And it's about a kid who is a sound engineer who is also a jester singing gram guy, and he witnesses some girl who needs help from a guy who murders her. And then he gets trapped in this whole thing. Not a bad film for a shoe budget. I wasn't a huge fan of this one, but, you know, obviously it's not going to be for everybody. You can check out the review if you want to see it. This one is another Visual Vengeance, which is called Scream Queen with Linnea Quigley, which I like this one a little bit more than this the Wrong Door one. I have a full review on that, essentially about a Scream Queen. I do that every time. It's about Linnea Quigley playing a character who's a Scream Queen, which she is a Scream Queen. So it's super meta. There's a lot of things going on in this film, but not bad. It got lost. It didn't come out right away. And then they put it back out like years later and finally finished it. But watch my review on it, see what you think. All on the YouTube, by the way. Up next, we got Scott Glenn, Alberta Watson in The Keep, which you can't see it on here. That's this thing. Oh, it's on the... Jesus Christ. Anyway, this is a DVD copy from another country, I think, but it actually plays in ours. There's really not many copies of this at all, and they usually only have a DVD, although I've heard that there is a 4K bouncing around somewhere. But it's nice to have a physical version of this film. Hopefully we'll see. Michael Mann may never let this out because he really hated how the production went on this movie, but he was also being so specific about it that the producers were pretty pissed. It caused a bunch of ire, but it's got some really deep, dark, atmospheric, vibey shit with like Nazis in a holding like a bunker, and they call it the Keep, and there's some sort of supernatural like demonic force that's in there, and like aliens that are there. It's all over the place, but it's one of those films that has a soundtrack with a Tangerine Dream in it, so it's really freaky, trippy, and like amazing because Tangerine Dream's amazing. So almost down to last three, guys. Well, four technically. Demons 1 and 2 right here. This is the Synapse release, by the way. So if you have, I know there's an Arrow one, and then there's this. This comes with like the ticket that you get from the first movie where they do. If you've never heard of this, I'm probably going to do a review of both of these movies on the channel because I've done it on the podcast, and I love talking about Demons 1 and 2 because they're like my favorite films. But it is Mario Bava's son, Lamberto Bava, who did these movies. They're insanely awesome. It's like zombies, but like demons inside of them. And the sequel even has like, when you kill these aliens, they bleed like hot blood that melts through the floor like aliens. And so both of these are bizarre. Some people like the first and the second one. Surprisingly, I kind of leaned to the second one, and it might be because that was my gateway movie. I never saw the first one. I saw the second one first. This set is really awesome. I'm really excited. It's in 4K. I love these films. If you love them, shout out. Also, speaking of Lovecraft, we got Necronomicon on Blu-ray here. This was out of print, actually, so I'm super glad I was able to get a copy of this. Thank you so much, Resolution 67. This one is, it's kind of like a 90s straight-to-video of Necronomicon. Jeffrey Combs is in it as, like, he's playing H.P. Lovecraft in the movie, and he's, like, trying to get this knowledge. It's a little bit of a creature feature, but it's like short anthology stories that tell like little Lovecraft tales that Jeffrey Combs' character is like reading through and you kind of follow along. You know, there's definitely a budgety feel to this, but it also is really cool because the creature work in it was actually pretty decent. I think Julian Sands is also in this movie as well on the like one of the anthology stories. But yeah, it's one of those ones that I kind of like, and Brian Yuzna directed. So, but I really do like this one. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but it's one of those things that I grew up watching on like Cinemax.
In the realm of lurking fear and unspeakable horror.
And last but not least, we got Messiah of Evil, which this has a inside cover that probably is more recognizable to the movie. We actually just covered this on the podcast here not too long ago. And honestly, it's one of those movies that I think has been growing on me because I couldn't shake it out of my head. This is like one of those movies that was made on a very, very indie budget. It was made in the 70s. It's got a lot of atmosphere. It's really kind of like a fever dream. A lot of the people and the characters and actors and everything don't act like normal, but it adds to the atmosphere in this film. So it's kind of got like this really colorful sort of Suspiria kind of feel to it and vibe. It's about a girl going to town to find her father, who writes this like crazy letter to her, and she's worried about him, and she goes to find him, and she bumps into another group of people who happen upon this town who are also kind of getting infected by this craziness in town, where they're waiting for the Messiah of Evil to show up, and people are starting to lose their minds and go crazy. So it's got that Lovecraftian feel. This Messiah is supposed to show up on this like red blood moon, and everybody in the town is like going nuts and shit. So there's just a lot of really odd things going on and a lot of really great iconography and like shots. The movie is just way better than it seems. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but a lot of people really like it. And I watched it for the first time and I really liked it. I was impressed. Made me want to watch more 70s movies like this. But yeah, this one just came out on Blu-ray from Radiance. There's another version that was like a way bigger box set, but I'm just glad to have it, because this thing looks fantastic. I popped it in, just the Blu-ray. Colors are amazing. I watched this thing on an old copy on YouTube or Amazon. I can't remember, but wasn't that great. But yeah, are you guys a fan of Messiah of Evil? Did you like this? Did you listen to our episode? You should listen to that episode.
I tried to warn you that what happened 100 years ago is happening again.
But yeah, that's it, guys. That's everything. Literally everything that I got for that month. There were some ones on the cusp that I'm saving for next month for that haul. We got some more stuff coming in that's going to be coming in this month. Like there were a lot of pre-orders that are coming in on the 19th and like at the end of the month. So we'll have a new one for January. Let me know in the comment section down below. Big shout out to Resolution 67. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough. You rock. Sorry, I'm just going to keep saying it because it just makes me feel good. All right. But anyway, thank you guys for taking the time. If you listen to the end, you're a fucking amazing. Shout out, I'm a fucking legend in the comment section down below if you listened all the way to the end, so I know who actually paid attention. But thanks for stopping by, and as always, long live the void.